Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so this is now, or will now be, the third episode of the yet-to-be-released return of the podcast, because I haven't released any of the episodes that we've done yet.
Why?
I don't know.
Is this just in case we change formats and you're like, you know what, we're not gonna post any of this content.
No, we'll post them. I've been busy. I haven't really had enough time to really think about it in the past few weeks. We've done them. They're edited. I just haven't posted them yet.
So. I get it. Sometimes the Christmas/New Year's vacation ends up being less vacation, more busy work. So
yeah, it certainly does. But yeah, you'd think uploading stuff wouldn't take all that much effort, but it does.
It does when you get out of the habit.
Yeah.
Just like everything having to do with the podcast right now, it's a little bit more effort.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, folks, we are back again. We're going to be talking about, episode 8 of Andor. Was it Narkina 5?
Yeah.
It's our title.
Episode 8.
Prison Break.
Prison
Break, Season 1.
Preparation to Prison Break.
And if you're wondering why we're so far behind and we're not talking about the now release of Bad Batch or the Tales of the Jedi or any of that stuff, well, we're going to get to it eventually.
No, I think what people are really, really worried about is the fact that we haven't talked about the little 5-minute Grogu short. Just a travesty that we haven't reviewed that yet.
Oh, what was there? Was it Christmas or something?
It was a little bit before Christmas. I think it was the Studio Ghibli and Star Wars collaboration, just a little 5-minute animated short. I don't know why they did it, unless they're actually planning on making a full-length movie.
Interesting.
Or some kind of TV show or something. Super zen, though, bro. Super zen.
Oh, really? So zen, huh?
So zen. So zen.
Not sure I even know what that means.
You'll understand why I say that if you watch it. It's just really tranquil, really relaxing little goofy clip. Again, I don't know why it's a thing.
Well, why is anything a thing? Because it can be, right? Just like this podcast.
Because when a company spends as much as Disney does, they can say, you know what? I want something tied in with Ghibli for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I don't want to spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Disney's going through their own, pains, I guess now. We just saw the little preview for another Ant-Man.
Yeah.
The third Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yay.
Are they just a continual pair? Does the Wasp die eventually? I don't even watch these movies, and I would just love to not see the Wasp. And for anyone who's a Wasp fan, I really don't care enough. I'm just joking around. Don't get all butthurt.
Yeah, you sound super, super serious over there. I don't know enough about Ant-Man or the Wasp to know anything. But if you keep going the trend that Disney's been, I know it'll be Ant-Man who dies. So Disney can be all women. Yeah. Disney is female.
I mean, we got plenty of that in Phase 4 already. Why not?
Yeah, there really is. I mean, Black Panther is which one was Black Panther? Do you remember?
Isn't
Who took over the mantle?
Well, isn't it his little sister? Well, no, it isn't his little sister because she's still like the tech.
See, you don't even know. You don't know what's even.
I didn't watch that one.
I did. I didn't either. To be
I have
fair.
watched nothing of Phase 4. So
yeah, neither have I. I don't know if that's unfortunate or not. I haven't really heard anything about any of it. Really, I know that guy who plays Superman, Henry Cavill, he's out as Superman, despite doing a cameo in Black Adam.
that's kind of what DC does. I don't feel like they. You know, you ever see like little advertisements for DC? There's a reason they do a silhouette of the hero because they recast like crazy. I mean, they really do. Cavill's been kind of through the ringer, though, too. I kind of feel bad for him because he lost The Witcher as well.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like, did he lose The Witcher or did he step away from The Witcher? Not really sure.
True.
I don't watch any of that stuff, so I don't really know enough to comment. I haven't watched any DC movies.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Superman. I did not watch like Batman versus Superman. I'm kind of up to date on Batman, obviously, but like Suicide Squad, I think was the last thing I watched, and it was no, I did watch the Joker, not our goofy Joker, but our like insane Joker movie.
Oh, with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was pretty good, but it's solely good because of Joaquin. So,
yeah, well, yeah. No, you didn't watch Morbius? You didn't more about?
No, I didn't. I didn't even watch. What's the one you? Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm about to accidentally cross over to Marvel with Moon Knight. I don't know why. Moon Knight just seems more DC to me.
Well, I did watch the Moon Knight series. I was trying to think of the last like movie that I've watched. I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Wasn't it The Rings of Power, dude?
The Rings of Power, dude.
The dude with the 10 rings. What's his name? Crap. Kung Fu guy.
Oh my God, Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
The Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power
he have,
guy
like,
that wasn't in there at all, and
but
he
doesn't
didn't really
he have like
rings or bracelets.
Doesn't he have power rings or something? Is it Shang-Chi or someone else?
Yeah, no, that's who it is. Yeah, they were bracelets.
Okay. Bracelets.
Yeah, okay. in the comics they were actual rings, but yeah, I did watch that. I feel like I might have watched something else, but. Largely,
well, you watched Doctor Strange.
That's right. Yeah,
I know you didn't like that.
No, not good at all. Which was disappointing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's our Marvel update. Marvel / DC.
Our crap on Marvel update.
It is what it is. I'm glad that people get excited about this stuff. Do they get excited about this stuff anymore? Is it that exciting?
I think people get more excited about defending or crapping on it than they do actually watching it.
That's true.
Point.
That's true. There is a lot of review bombing that goes on there, and look, some of it is legitimate fans making their opinions heard, but some of it's not. To be fair,
on both sides,
both exactly. Yeah, that could go into a whole other thing, which we might talk about when we reboot the podcast. Yeah, reboot.
The uncensored podcast.
Well, just in terms of conversation, we'd both been talking about, not necessarily that we don't really hold anything back here, but we also sometimes try to temper a few things, to be a little bit more friendly, I guess.
Yeah, and when your main source of content that you're reviewing is Disney, I feel like you maybe should slightly filter a little more because you could still get that random little kid looking up a review of something, maybe like a 12 or 13-year-old. And I don't want to, I don't know, we try to not talk about anything political or anything like that, or like what's really big in the media. and to some extent, we cut down on cussing as much as possible. So,
oh yeah, yeah.
So with Disney-centric content, I think that's kind of important. But yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of nice to have a podcast where we don't have to filter quite as much.
Yeah, and realistically, it won't be all that much of the same. But there are certainly, some aspects of the industry that are not very nice. I mean, I'll say this. So Jeremy Renner, who played Hawkeye, I guess like the story continued where apparently he was helping out a family member who had been trapped in snow, and then he just basically accidentally got ran over by his like snow plow thing that he had. His it's like with the like a cat, like the with the caterpillar wheels and all that. And there were people on Twitter that were like hoping that he died. You know what I mean? Which is weird.
My goodness.
Which is just a weird stance to take about anybody, really. I mean, unless you're talking about like Harvey Weinstein or something like that.
Well, getting past the point of a character, because again, it is a character. You're not talking about a real person when you're talking about Hawkeye.
Yeah.
As a person, he seems, through interviews and everything, a really nice guy, really polite, and obviously he's trying to help family there. So I think people have this issue disassociating a character from their actor in real life, and I think that's a huge problem.
What happens a lot, I mean, I don't really think Mark Ruffalo is all that nice of a guy. No offense. I don't mind him as an actor. I think he was pretty darn good as Bruce Banner. But do I think he's like the best human being? No. I mean, the guy rants about stuff.
Right.
So, but it doesn't really bother me any that he's in these things. I could care less.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird world. So anyway, how was your week?
Not too bad. Just still on vacation. Kind of getting to that point where it's like, well, I didn't plan enough for this week off, and now I'm bored. But I'm enjoying the rest.
Okay.
Not really doing a whole heck of a lot. I joined the elite and went to Costco today. That's literally how I spent my day. We went and did some shopping. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, Costco certainly has a lot of stuff.
They have a good butcher section. Their meat's seemingly pretty high quality. So that alone, I think, makes it worth it. And the fact that paper towels and toilet paper is stupid cheap.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things is like when I was single, it didn't make any sense for me to have one of those memberships because I mean, I would probably just
don't eat that much. You just don't.
Not really. And I would wind up just buying toilet paper and paper towels and dish soap like once a month or once every 6 months and then never go back. So it wouldn't be worth it for me.
And that would keep the reoccurring payment keep going on with your membership, and you'd forget about it for like 2 years.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been there obviously before. I've seen some of the stuff they have. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And at least the one nearest, I think that it's nearest to me. There might be one closer now, but anyway, with the gas station, their gas a lot of times is cheaper than what most gas stations are in that area. And they have lines. People go to it.
They do. Apparently, like, they have a travel agency now.
Oh, fun.
Like, your points can go towards that. And I was looking, they had a combo deal of Blue Jacket. Ironically, we just talked about this, but Blue Jacket tickets. You can buy 2 tickets there, like as a gift card or something.
Yeah, you unfortunately got a bit hosed. You're trying to do something nice for everybody and take everyone to a Blue Jackets game, and then it was the one that got canceled and hasn't or postponed and hasn't really been rescheduled yet.
I mean, I guess you could almost argue that I probably should have seen something like that coming with Buffalo being involved in a huge ice storm happening that week, but you can never tell, especially around Ohio. I mean, I'm not surprised we got what we got, but it could have been randomly 50 degrees out, instead. I don't like planning around weather all that much unless it's blatantly obvious,
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, so we had our New Year's, did New Year's here recently. Obviously, you at home or whatever, or in your car or while you're taking a poop, are listening to this. You're probably way past that, but yeah, we did New Year's. We did our Christmas. Yeah, it's February. But that was all good.
Yeah. Did the bonsai tree survive?
It is surviving to this point. We got it a little light, a little light thing, because they like the sun. Apparently, I think she's still kind of figuring out the watering cycle and what it actually needs water wise. But
I was severely underwatering it the first day or two until I read up on it some more. It's like, oh no, you're supposed to drown this thing basically.
Oh really? Is it? I
well, from what I read, it was like put a tray underneath it and water until it starts just flowing, gushing out onto the tray.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well I didn't know that, so I guess we got some more watering to do.
Yeah, Dad's the expert. Just ask him.
Yeah, apparently. So, but yeah, no, that's pretty much what's been going on for me, at least. I just work mainly. We'll be heading to Texas here and next week. Seeing friends down there doing Texas things.
Nice. Are you just going for a weekend? Or are you taking a week off for it, or
it's basically 3 days. So
okay.
we'll be getting there, morning-ish on Friday, and then returning kind of like Monday afternoon-ish, something like that. So
nice.
About roughly 3 days.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, it should be.
Well, are you ready to talk about Prison Break?
Did you ever watch that show?
I didn't.
I never did either. I never got into it. I do remember people saying like the first season was supposed to be good, but then after that it wasn't really the same. But they went on for a little while, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't that one of those things that was only supposed to be one season? It just got so popular they had to extend it.
I mean, oh hey, it is the Grogu thing is literally just called Zen.
Yep. I didn't even remember that. Oh,
that's so dumb.
Just randomly threw it out there. There you go. Aptly named.
Okay.
You gonna watch that as we do the review? No. Just kind of have that in the background. Might put you to sleep.
No,
it's very relaxing.
I doubt that's gonna happen. Probably not. Okay. So anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and roll into our episode here. So we're again episode 8, our Narkina 5, and I mean, we're into our prison arc here, which started last episode when Cassian was arrested for nothing really.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta tell you,
citizen of the Empire.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of very subtle messaging in this episode, which I really enjoyed quite a bit. So not to just pop off here in the very beginning, but I gotta say, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff here.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I think to some extent you kind of could see where the arc was going pretty heavily from the start or from the end of this episode on. Not that it was like, oh, it's so predictable, but they set it up very nicely.
Yeah.
Very ominously.
Yeah, and I think probably one of my favorite things is you're in the Imperial machine here. Resistance, right? The cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a comedy. People are laughing. And,
right.
it gets a little serious, but then you're back to goofy. And even, there's even a lot of humor in Clone Wars, Rebels, a lot of stuff that's supposed to be depicting the Empire a bit more. And I think that, I think that one of the things that people don't appreciate as much about like Rogue One is that's the grandiose kind of end cap to everything that we didn't see within the Empire, being in the Empire. I love Rogue One. I love that it's dark. I love that nobody survives because it's a taste of how reality is, and not everybody's going to be into that. But this show, really right now, I'm feeling like, oh, we're really getting into reality here. And that's kind of sometimes I really like that. I like to see because it's different.
Yeah. Well, and you'll see, moving forward, obviously you haven't finished it. I have. Moving into this arc will really make you kind of question like how much of these decisions are just the Emperor being extremely cruel and how much of it is him curating his empire to mimic his behavior. Because I'll tell you what, like from the high up brass of the Empire all the way down to just your basic prison guard, they are all sadistic. and this show, along with I think both the our spin-off book and Catalyst, and then obviously Rogue One, do an amazing job of setting up why we care about the original trilogy. Yeah. Why we really do fight. Because there was a time when we were getting really into being like super sympathetic of the Empire and the Imperials in it. And this kind of dials that back in a really good way, I think.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, not everybody in the Empire is wholly evil, but there is a lot of people that are. I think one of the interesting things is, with the Emperor, all of this is according to his plan, but kind of aside from that, I think he wanted, more chaos, so that
more autonomy for smaller groups.
Well, really, so that you don't have to have that overruling, bureaucracy that the Republic became, because it's so much hard work, and in this, he's just keeping everybody so confused and on edge that it's really hard to fight back. Yeah. Everybody's scared. And right now we're getting a ratchet up because of our whole robbery heist deal.
Yeah.
When you punch the Empire punches back hard. That's kind of their point. But I did like the, so we have Andor being sorted into his house. Gryffindor. What is that? I mean, Narkina 5. Just get out of here, kid.
I'm a tourist. I'm not a sorcerer. I'm a tourist.
Oh God. Yeah, and I think it's kind of neat. That whole thing. It's confusing too. It's like our shore troopers. They know what everybody's kind of doing and everything, but just for the average person, you're going to be confused by design, and that's effectively, again, it just keeps you in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And while all this is happening, we're interlacing Cyril's story here as he's kind of working in his not cube circle thing,
his hexagonal
hexagonal thing. And apparently he's been a very bad boy, because Mommy Daedra is like, will you stop filing reports? But I love it. I love to
Will you
file
stop
little
messing
reports.
with me? I am trying to do adult things right now. But I want attention.
But I was a good deputy inspector. Tell me how good of a deputy inspector I was.
I just love the wall that he hits with Tater. I mean, it's awesome because, like, you get this serious notion where if he actually rose through the ranks, and we've talked about this, he could be just the worst kind of thorn in anybody's side.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is just ambitious enough and obsessive enough that he could really cause some troubles. Really could have been an amazing book character. Kind of a shame. I mean, like, he's really well done. But, yeah, seeing his little quirks in book form would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. But that interaction was relatively short. Dater did kind of like, hey, let him see this report, say, figure out what he didn't have or whatever, what wasn't in the report. And, effectively right now, and this is kind of interesting for purposes of Rogue One, you're literally in the ISB headquarters with a hologram of your head, Cassian. They all now know his face. Like, think about all that he's done since then and how much danger he basically always would have been in. And then it kind of makes some of the conversations with Jen a little bit more impactful because Jen effectively walked away. I've lived this life since I was 6 years old.
Still not seeing 6 here, but I will say one thing.
He was 6 years old. He saw his friend die.
Yeah. I will say that after this whole thing happens, makes way more sense why he shoots the guy at the beginning of Rogue One, because, like, Stormtroopers see him, he's probably dead on the spot. I mean, there is no due process for this guy. Andor is very high-class target at this point, I'd say.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. But I do like, as we're in the ISB2, as we're moving forward, that Daedra is obviously like has a much more powerful voice here. Mm-hmm. Partagaz is kind of like sort of tapped her a little bit. He's agreeing with her in this meeting with higher ups than even him, and she's wanting to put the screws, putting the screws down, Spanish Inquisition style.
Yeah, isn't it funny how, like, apathetic the higher ups are compared to Partagaz and Miro? Like, they are the heart and blood of the ISB.
Well, the thing is like, I think it's very appropriate when you think about it. When you think about how bloated the Empire would have been at this point, you do have people in power with a lot of comfort.
Almost. You know, they're really not there for any serious reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, kind of moving on here, we're going to the prison, and again, like, their introduction to this prison thing was, I don't know, I just really liked it. You're coming in barefoot.
Little subtle hints, then you focus on the guards with their clunky orange shoes.
Yeah.
Why is this important,
Well, and just the way they're explaining how things are going to be, it's like the quality of your time will be up to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like a prison that you would have ever really seen anywhere else, because really, although there is an overarching control, and we all know that most of these guys will never come out of this prison, at the same token, it's like, they're given a lot more in terms of, in quotations, comfort than you would have expected out of the Empire. Like, they're trying to make more compliant prisoners without effectively, like, over, hurting them, like hurting them, like, physically. it's more of a mental conditioning thing.
And well, it's ironic because like with again how bloated the Emperor has made the Empire, it's kind of funny to see how minimalistic these prisons are, even to the point where psychologically they're, setting up 1 in 50 prisoners to be essentially a manager over the other prisoners, and he's on their side, because he's trying to get out a little bit quicker. And it, especially when you find out how important this prison ends up being, it's kind of interesting how they experimented with it.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, but it is an interesting thing because even in captivity, if you give somebody a little bit of control within that captivity, you can become the captor.
Yeah,
but
well, it's kind of ironic. I think it was a Forrest Whitaker movie that explored that, where it's like 50 prisoners or 100 prisoners that were split up, and half were made to be guards, and the other half remained prisoners.
There was an experiment. I think it was in the 70s or 60s. It was like a college experiment where they did that, and it was all voluntary. You could leave at any time, but what they found, and there again, I don't, the ethics of it were off, and I'm not quite sure that everything was really above board in terms of, control and the results and whatnot. So I don't really want to talk out of my butt too much, but at the same token, the gist is that those who became prison guards became pretty brutal to, prisoners, when in reality, the prisoners could leave at any time. The kids that were dubbed prisoners, they could leave at any time. They didn't have to stay, but they did. And that's the weird thing that, you can get into through conditioning and psychological, manipulation. So, so anyway, we do find out why they're barefoot. It's effectively because the floor is essentially like the floor is lava.
Yeah. Even to the point where later on, like there's a red light that flashes all around the perimeter of the floor. It's like, oh, you got 7 seconds. You gotta get in your room.
Yep, the floor's lava.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. Look at you. You're convulsing on the floor, you goofy guy. Come on, man. You gotta be quicker than that.
Oh, you dummy. How could you possibly have messed up that bad? But anyway, so we wind up going to our, I guess you could call it, work unit.
Yeah.
Right? And they're making parts or pieces, and I guess we'll just call him a foreman, Andy Serkis, who, has been a pretty prolific actor in his own right, obviously doing the Schmeagol Gollum routine. He did one of the apes in the newer Planet of the Apes, whole bunch of stuff, really. And he's in here basically motivating the people to be better because I only got 5 days until retirement. He had like, what was it? Like 280 something days or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah. Just under a year, I think. And like, they're also gauging him compared to other units and other foremans as well. Again, going over the psychological stuff of it. They're all competing against each other. So he's trying to be the best of the best, supposedly, to get a shorter prison sentence. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we have this very specialized area just to build one thing. And I just love how Cassian's just staring at everybody like, this is stupid. Like, what? Why are we doing this? No, I'm not going to participate, basically.
Yeah, I do find it kind of interesting, like, how accommodating all the prisoners were, like, telling them specifically what to do, where to be, how to act, all this stuff. Yeah. And he's, he's basically thrust into working with a unit. And basically it's whatever unit finishes last for the day gets zapped, and the winning unit gets flavor for their food. There was a nah, I don't need to get that nerdy. No, I can do whatever the hell I want. There was an episode of Stargate SG-1 where it was a bounty hunter that was addicted to a certain chemical that his people were hooked on, and he was adding it to his water bottle. And they're like, "What's in there?" "Water." "What did you put into it?" "Flavor." Just made me think of that. But yeah, so the winning team gets flavor in their presumably nutrient mass.
Yeah.
They didn't really highlight that too much.
The Soylent Green tastes a little better, you know?
Ah, yes, of course. It's people. I mean, you don't think they should have played it up, for like, hey, come to Galaxy's Edge and suck on our tubes, just like Cassie. You just
stay at our hotel and you get basically the tube bunk with the little fold down bathroom and everything.
The rooms are great. They have everything that you need, including this sucky tube.
Now see that red line on the floor? You better get in your room. Come on now.
Floor's lava. But I'm serious. You will get zapped.
Why do you think we asked you to take your shoes off?
Yeah. But, the thing is, I do think Serkis's performance here did highlight the sort of desperation to get out of here. And my first thought was, that is definitely somebody that you should exploit, because he wants to get out of there. And if you were to provide a man like that the ability to get out, I don't think he would care how he got out. He's done. He's doing what he has to do. He's probably done some pretty bad stuff, to get his position. I mean, you have to think about that. The people that are high on the hierarchy in prison are there for a reason. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the prison is. So what's old Schmeagol done in there, man?
I don't know, but and I don't think that's ever really explored all that much, nor the full length of his prison sentence. But I do know one thing: his acting is just freaking awesome in this. I mean, it.
Well, he's just a really good actor. Period.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
It was
but
a
it just
great
kind of overshadows everyone else. It's almost, I don't want to say below him, because later on it gets way better. But in the first episode, he's almost underutilized a little bit. So
sure,
because that's just one of those actors. He should be on the screen 90% of the time, really.
Well, so. The thing that I see here is you see Andor definitely fading into the background.
Mm-hmm.
You have, a little bit of everybody here. So you're making some connections with, you have the one old guy in the unit, which he looks familiar as hell. I was trying to look him up.
He does.
In the cast list, but in the immediate pictures, I didn't find him, but he looked weirdly familiar to me for some reason, and I'm gonna keep trying probably to find him as I go along here. But you can tell he's struggling, and this is a classic prison sequence where the guy who makes you struggle is definitely going to be the guy that you're certainly going to have to kill.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna have to. Wait a minute. Is this the guy?
Don't you find him?
Is it Ulaf? Christopher Fairbank. Christopher Fairbank. God, that sounds awful familiar. What has he done?
You must be looking at a different list. I don't see him.
It'll I don't know, dude. God, really hardworking actor. I feel like it was something a longer time ago. But anyway, I'm sure it'll come to mind here at some point, maybe. But regardless, we're seeing these connections being made, and to me, that's like, okay, who's dying?
Right. Is it murder? Is it going to be accident in the workplace? You know, is he could be electrocuted a little bit too much?
Well, think about this, and I know that you've already watched this, so you don't have to like. It's fine, but like for me, because we know Cassian can be brutal, what if he gets so conditioned in here to say, well, this guy's holding us up.
Quota's not being met. We gotta
maybe he just like pushes him
and get a replacement.
Something. Yeah. Like pushes him into the zappy floor.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see Cassian's slow descent into being essentially a murderer like we see in Rogue One. So that would be a really cool origin story. I could agree with that.
Well, at any rate, we do have our extra storyline here with Mon Mothma at yet another party.
Yeah, it's just so fun. It's my favorite part of the episodes now.
Well, here's the thing that I thought about as I was watching it. You know what the subtle messaging to me was? Every single person in here is a prisoner.
Yep.
Just in a different way.
And it's interesting that they chose this in the arc that they did, because they could have thrown this in anywhere, really. Yeah.
But I think it really does highlight Andor is a literal prisoner in prison. You know, you have his friends later on in the episode basically in lockdown on their own planet. You've got Mon Mothma in the prison of luxury. You have Cyril, who is a prisoner of his past and trying to move forward but can't. So I think that there's a lot in here that that lends itself to that storyline. And I think it's pretty clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really the Mon Mothma storyline, I wouldn't really say that there's much.
It's a reminder that she's there. It's pretty inconsequential, I believe.
Yeah, there was a little part with her daughter, you know, kind of coming up. It's like, oh, I'll go see Dad. It's like, what are you trying to do, little girl?
Yeah.
What sort of rebellion are you planning behind your mom's back, and how are they going to kill you for it?
It's interesting what they've done with their relationship. You know, I can see what they're doing with it, because they're trying to make it seem like Mon Mothma had to sacrifice everything for the rebellion, including her family. But at the same time, a lot of the interaction, it's like, well, you're just really not that good at talking to each other. It's not even like, oh, I don't have time for you. It's like, no, it seems like you do. You just aren't very close.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously not close to her husband, and we did learn in here that they were married at like 15.
Mm-hmm.
I believe
sort of arranged marriage, correct?
Yeah. Basically a traditional marriage. And they're obviously not close, and the daughter is not there. There's just like a constraint there. And obviously like being young and a teenager, I'm sure doesn't help out at all, but
yeah,
it is what it is. So anyway, we do have our prison block scene, and I think there's one thing I'd mention here, that we had one of our prisoners come up to Andor before, you know, the lockdown sort of started. And he's like, you know, nobody gets out of here. Don't even look at your number. It won't matter. Nobody leaves. And the thing is we see on a little console that they have their days left, and it counts down. Well, or so.
Seemingly
counts down. And our foreman guy here, what was his name?
It is.
I was just calling him by the actor's name.
Yeah.
Shoot.
And I just had him. Where is he now? Andy. Kino Loy.
Yeah, Kino Loy. So he like pushes this guy up against the wall. He's like, "Shut up, man!"
Yeah.
Because he's getting close. But you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, we also kind of have a little conversation where they basically ask if there's any word of this prison in the outside. You know, Andor is one of the few that's been new, seemingly, which is odd. They kind of only target him and not the other guys that come in, but they just kind of want to know. It's like, well, does anyone know what's happening to us? Does anyone really care, or is trying to petition for changes? And
yep.
Yeah, okay. Andor just kind of crushes their spirit a little bit there. It's like, nope, had no idea about this whatsoever.
Yeah, well, they did have some sort of news about, you know, kind of like the sort of heist. They had, but it was like a vague recollection. They don't really know what happened. So there is some information getting in here somehow.
Yeah.
But they're like,
always with the Empire, it's extremely twisted.
Exactly. But yeah, he's keeping it close to the vest, obviously not saying anything. And then, you know, we go to bed, and then it's 30 shifts later.
Yeah.
And I was actually just waiting, you know, kind of to see the shift in scene to see if the number moved at all on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to fast forward here a little bit just so that I can see, because we do have the little caption 30 shifts later, and he's sitting there sucking on that tube, sucking on the wall tube.
Learn to eat it.
You'll learn to eat it. Maybe you'll even get some flavor.
Gotta work hard for the flavor, boy.
Oh, yeah. What kind of flavor? What kind of flavor do you think they get? So, okay.
Chocolate. Your dinner tastes like chocolate now.
I'm just cycling back. So we've got what looks like 2188, although I don't think that that's exactly what that is. Where is the first view of it again? This is very entertaining podcasting, isn't it?
It is. Really is.
Do you think
especially when we're both doing it and not really talking about it at all?
Just show the stupid screen, you jerk. Show the screen. Oh, he's pulling the tube. Oh my God, he's
2159. Found it.
Do you think that says 2159?
I'm not 100% sure, but there again, Star Wars has always been really bad about numbers.
Yeah,
it's definitely 59.
It still looks like it's the same number. It doesn't look like his numbers actually went down, but we don't really know if his shift is a day or not. So
true enough.
Yeah, because it looks like the exact same number as we get down. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's doesn't look like time's moving at all for him, which is basically precisely what was predicted.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Oh, we also did learn that, oh no, it did move. It did move a little bit. The little number moved. So it looked like it looked like 89 to 59. So yes, it does look like there was movement. So, he's gonna get out maybe one day. But we definitely get into like the routine section. You know, we're continually making our parts. Mon Mothma's still chilling at the party. And then we eventually get back to Andor's, you know, planet, where his mother is seemingly pretty sick.
Yeah.
Bix is helping her out a little bit, and his other friend.
Yeah, good luck with that, at least on the main list. I feel like if I heard his name,
it doesn't really matter. I don't think
none of these people look like him.
Big guy. Big fella. But
it's not Brasso, is it?
That I don't know. Might be it. Sure, Brasso.
This guy looks like him.
Sounds like
Sibtane.
Sounds like a Brasso to me. But the mom is basically going out and like screwing around, like playing rebel, you know. It's like, is the tunnel still open so that the rebels can come in? And again, like depending on how sad they wanted this series to be, because I don't know, but it's like you could become really sad if she just dies in like despair.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. The rebels don't look like they're coming for you, ma.
Yeah, and it would make her decision to basically, well, not abandon Andor, but like part ways. It would make it really tragic.
Absolutely. Well, we also have Vel and was it Cinta?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so they're keeping a watch
Cinta
out here. Yeah, just watching out.
Yeah, why? Like as if we haven't been told multiple times by Skarsgård's assistant. It's like, hey, you have a job to do. You should probably do that.
Yeah. There's something that comes up later that sort of makes it make sense, but Vel and Cinta, I'm not crazy interested in right now. I kind of hope that they
as far as a relationship, it's really kind of pathetic in a way. It's like really one-sided and depressing. And I don't know.
But that tends to be a lot of relationships in some instances, where one side is a little, if you have a really cold, logical person and somebody who's a little feely and whatnot, it can be difficult. It can certainly be difficult, but I don't really see them being in a great relationship.
Healthy,
Yeah, if I'm just being honest. So anyway, Bix does try and contact Luthen, but they cut off communication with each other. His assistant is not very nice.
No, she is not.
She's not very nice.
It's almost like she's more of his handler than assistant in some
it kind of feels
with their
like
interactions. That. I think that'd be a cool turn of events if she ended up like being his boss and just this was the way they dealt with it in case someone got caught to make her seem less important,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But so no messages to Luthen. Bix is basically on her own. Cinta's watching. Gets a room across the street, and Luthen takes a little jaunt to see an old friend.
Yeah, and he's not slipping at all.
No.
Totally not slipping.
Did they send you here to kill me? There's not much left.
Well, he doesn't have his breathing issues yet, so there is kind of something left.
It was good to see Saul,
Yeah.
He's a broken guy. And he's been broken, but at the same token, he's the anarchist. He's doing it, and this is what I was talking about with Luthen. He basically tells him straight out. It's like, so what are you? It's like, I'm a coward. I'm the coward.
Yeah,
and that's true. He is. He's got a foot in the high life and a foot in the rebel life.
Well, it's almost in a way, I don't want to say Mon Mothma's a coward as well. Obviously, she has her purpose, but, let's not act like they don't have it a little easier than some of the people with boots on the ground trying to survive this. But his speech about this is just awesome. And again, Stellan's just an amazing actor in general, but this is a really, really good interaction, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire show, to be honest.
Yeah, it was really, really well acted out. They're both, sort of sparring with each other a little bit. We get, was it you who robbed them? I don't know. I think that's something a robber would say.
I love how Saul's paranoia is not quite as bad, and he's slowly spiraling. You can just see it coming from this scene.
I was about ready to, just have him say, "Poor Gullet."
Poor Bull Gullet. He hasn't met him yet.
Yeah.
We need a comic of him meeting Bull Gullet.
Oh, boy. That'd be interesting. But yeah, it was a good interaction, but ultimately Luthen is there to try and further the overall cause while Saul is not ready for that at all. And he never really got there either.
Unfortunately, his insurgents didn't really, I don't want to say they didn't accomplish anything.
They did.
But
yeah,
they did, but they were they ended up being martyrs and not much else.
That is true. That's true. So
which is also some good foreshadowing with Krieger, which we don't get a whole lot about, but we can definitely tell from this conversation that everything going on with him isn't necessarily on the up and up, and obviously we don't trust each other yet, so it's interesting to see what will happen there.
Absolutely. So I guess then the kind of last part, right, would be Bix is arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, her one friend from the depot who was clearly tortured by Miro, and she's brought in. So it's fairly obvious that like Miro is taking this whole Andor thing seriously. It would seem that she will probably be using Cyril in the future. But Bix can't catch a break. She kind of sucks. No. I mean, no offense, but she kind of sucks right now. Her life
she set
sucks.
herself up like she's not a very sneaky person. She just gets caught up in these terrible situations so easily. She trusts the wrong people too, like consistently.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. Her little boyfriend was killed, and yeah, but she could have left. You're under Imperial control. You could have left.
Your target.
Yeah, just not crazy smart. And that's how we end the episode.
Lots of foreshadowing. Lots and lots of foreshadowing.
And ominous music.
What'd you think of the episode?
It was a lot of fun, actually. I like it. And I think that I didn't really hear much about people's thoughts on things as we sort of got towards this part, but I do know that people were so complainy about the first part of the season being slow to develop, and it's like, you do understand, like, this is a chugging train right here, man. They just showed you an episode where really nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, the prison sequence, though it's one of the most entertaining ones, it is the slowest to start. It really is. I mean, it's all third act.
With that being said, I don't mind.
The payoff on this is awesome, and even the payoff for this episode being more of, it's hard to even call it a setup episode. It's more just an exposition episode of what's going on. You're not really developing a lot. You're just understanding what's happening throughout this entire episode.
Yep, exactly. But no, I mean, I thought overall it was really, really good. Yeah. So I guess we can go ahead and run into our ratings. So the old IMDb has us at an 8.2. 8.2 with, let's go back here. 8.2, 8,700 votes, roughly.
Okay, not bad. Not bad.
So what are you going to give it and why?
What am I going to give it and why? Well, I'm going to come pretty close to matching the ratings, I think. We have another really good episode here. We have a lot of good setup, and especially in the beginning, we have a lot of little ominous nods to what's about to happen, which can be really entertaining. The ISB stuff, as always, with Miro is absolutely fantastic. You know, her kind of smackdown of poor old Cyril's very, very satisfying with how annoying of a character he can be at times. For your standard prison stint episode, you know, and story arc, I thought it was really well done. You know, we kind of talked about the psychological manipulation that goes on, and it just lends itself to what the Empire's all about. And you could see Palpatine just coming up with this plan 100% himself just to mess with people for no apparent reason. And I even thought, watching this episode for the first time, it's like, I bet those things that they're building are completely useless and they're just wasting their time just to prove a point, which I thought would be just hilarious.
Yeah, that would be pretty classic.
Like the pieces are just helping build more prisons or something. They're not actually helping anybody. But, you know, we have some great acting here. Andy Serkis is just absolutely phenomenal throughout. And he continues throughout, moving forward, too, luckily. You know, we get some pretty uncomfortable stuff going on with Bix at the end. We know this could be a really bad time for her, unfortunately, which sucks to see. And, you know, everything with Saw Gerrera is just awesome. On point. Exactly the cameo I wanted to see in this series. I was really glad to see that. So, yeah, overall, it's not a necessarily what I'd call a setup episode. It's, like I said earlier, an exposition episode, just kind of talking about working through what's going on. And even though a lot of people might say it's a slow episode and not really that exciting, I thought it was great. The acting was great, and I'm going to give it an 8.3.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought that the messaging was really good. I think that you were able to successfully string together a bunch of what would just be filler setup and making a really good, just a really good episode out of it. And that's not easy to do. But I think that they did it, and I think that they did it well, you know, to the point where I enjoyed the hell out of it. I really enjoyed it a lot more than what I thought I would. It was ominous. Like everything's on the edge of a knife. It's a powder keg just getting ready to erupt. And yeah, I mean there's not much more to say. It was a really fantastic episode of television. And you know, we've complained a lot about Star Wars television, and this wasn't, and we've said this before, this wasn't necessarily the one that we thought would really intrigue us all that much, but ultimately I think that, you know, with maybe a couple of stumbling blocks in the beginning sequences of the heist arc, this has been you know, this little part here has been far more interesting, and it definitely makes me want to continue on with watching the remaining 4 episodes that we have here. So, and it was good casting too. You got to give a nod to the casting. And you're right. I mean, the Saul Luthen scene was darn near perfect. So I think I'm going to go a little higher on it myself and give it an 8 point, give it an 8.6. I think it's one that could be re-examined later, you know, if we really actually did that kind of stuff. But either way you look at it, really solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man.
And I can say in general, as we go through this series, it's kind of what we could say about the whole thing. Just really solid, you know, really consistent, good series. No what the hell were they thinking kind of moments like we've ran into with a lot of Star Wars TV. So it's a breath of fresh air, and I love it.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree. So what do you think? Is that all we got to talk about today?
I think we is good.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. Well, folks, hopefully you enjoyed this episode about a month later from its inception. It's fine. We'll get there. We'll get back to real reality. If you want to interact with the show, let us know what your thoughts are, or, whatever. Just at TC Plan Podcast, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, they're up. They're not doing much, but they're up. Or just send us an email. Better way to interact. Send us an email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. But I believe that is all for this week, so y'all have a good one.
And as always, may the Force be with you.